a great program in front of us. I think we're going to learn a lot. And, you know, when things go bad in the family, things really bad happen. You know, the police are involved with your son or your daughter, or there's a fire, or there's a terrible illness. You've lost your job, you don't have enough money to keep a roof over your head or feed the family. There are all sorts of problems that happen to us at random, it seems. And when they do happen, you say to yourself, there's nobody out there to help me. I'm all by myself. Well, the fact of the matter is you're not all by yourself. There are all sorts of organizations out there to give a lending hand to people that find themselves in deep, deep doo-doo. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. The nonprofits, the organizations here in the Pittsburgh area that help out families and individuals when things are really tough. We want to talk about the organizations, how they operate, where do they get their money, what kind of an atmosphere is it now for nonprofits, for people who help people in terms of government money, in terms of donations from people who want to help out privately. So we're going to be talking about that tonight, and I think it's going to be a real eye-opener for all of us. Now I want to introduce our guests. Wonderful guest tonight. First of all, Cynthia Moore is with us, and she is the outreach coordinator at the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank. Cynthia, thanks a lot for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting us.
It's good to have you. And from the Salvation Army, the General Secretary of the Salvation Army, Major Mark McNear. Major, thanks a lot for being here.
Great to be here.
Good to have you. And with an organization called Auberle, the CEO of Auberle, John Lydon. John, thanks a lot for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the invitation, PJ.
Sure. Well, let's start out by, I want to ask you real briefly to tell us what your organization is all about, the food bank.
The Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank serves as Southwestern Pennsylvania's regional collection and distribution facility, and so we help to support private nonprofit charities in our community that are helping to assist people with food assistance.
Okay, so you gather food, you give it to the various local organizations that help out people in those neighborhoods.
That's correct.
Okay, let me ask you, Mark, Major Mark, what about the Salvation Army? Give us a. I think everybody already knows, but go ahead.
Sure. Well, generally, it's an international organization. The Salvation Army is in over 125 countries. But locally, I represent Western Pennsylvania and the 28 counties in Western Pennsylvania. And again, the Army's mission has always been to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we have a little saying that we basically, our motto is a war on two fronts. We meet physical needs as well as spiritual needs. So when physical needs, most of the people are very familiar with the Army, and in the time of crisis and trouble, we meet the physical needs. So we're there for those types of problems that come and arise.
Okay, great. John, tell us about Auberle. What does Auberle do?
Well, Auberle has been around for 60 years. It's a Catholic social service agency that serves thousands of at-risk children and families every year, primarily in 8 southwestern counties in a wide variety of programs, whatever it takes to help them.
It seems to me that most of what you do is geared toward families in some kind of a crisis, one thing or another, right?
Yes, definitely families and children that are at risk, that have some type of a crisis, and we help them through it, get them on their feet, and then help them move on to strengthen the family unit.
Well, I think we have a pretty representative group here this evening. What is the state of nonprofits in terms of staying alive? You know, when you sit down to do your budget, do you have enough money to continue the services that you've been providing over the years? What is it like right now, Cynthia?
I think in speaking for the food bank and human service organizations throughout our area, it's a very difficult time. You know, there are cuts in just about every program you can imagine, and so federal cuts that are coming down that are impacting our work and our ability to be able to serve the community. When you look at the economic conditions of people who support us, longtime supporters, people have less discretionary funds to be able to donate. And so what we're seeing at the food bank, and I don't know if this is true for the other organizations that are here, but it's not necessarily that our individual donor base is decreasing, but the amount of money that individuals are giving is becoming less.
How much government help do you get?
It's a small percentage. I think it's about 20% of our budget comes from government funding.
State mostly?
State and federal.
And federal.
Some federal.
Okay. Well, what about you, John? Is it tougher now than it was, let's say, 5-6 years ago?
I don't think there's any question that it's tougher, PJ. The nonprofit sector, though, I think is really resilient. It's composed of really passionate people. And in that context, we've been able to surmount the challenges. Certainly government assistance and human service has for a while been going out like the tide. Probably still not seen low tide yet in terms of what's happening, and we have to be creative to find other ways to continue the mission.
Okay, and the Salvation Army. Now, everybody's familiar with the kettles and
Sure.
around the holiday time. And it seems to be tougher even around the holiday these days than it was several years ago.
Well, it absolutely is. And anytime the economy is bad, what happens is more and more people are coming to us for service. And that little red kettle that we put out on the street corner and make that money in November and December really funds our operating budgets throughout the year. And what's happening now is when the economy is bad, those people that traditionally, the middle class, the working middle class, are the ones who really support us the most, that is drying up. So traditional funding streams are drying up. More and more people are coming to us for help and service. So it really does hurt us. And fortunately for us, we have that recognizable effort that we do every year, but that's becoming a struggle every year.
Well, what other sources of revenue do you have besides the kettle drive and the other holidays?
Well, like Cynthia, we are supported by state and federal, but there's some cuts coming down the road for us. In particular, a couple of the programs that we have here right in Allegheny County. We have a residential treatment program here that's looking at probably a $60,000 cut. We have the only family shelter in Western Pennsylvania that's looking at some smaller cuts as well. So it's going to impact us with the state funding. Of course, we do our newsletter and our donor base. As Cynthia was saying, our donor base continues to grow, but it also, through the years, again, that middle class is dropping off. We have inactive donors, and we just try and reactivate those donors, and that's always not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Because the funding streams are just drying up.
John talked about being creative, and we want to take a short break now. When we come back, we'll talk about being creative in the nonprofit business. How do you make up for losses of revenue that you've grown used to over the years? We'll be back in a moment. Stand by.